Are you on a path of personal development or professional development, and you're working to create your gifts and superpowers, take those talents and skills you have and make them be gifts and superpowers, or you're trying to find the right people that you can impact with those gifts and superpowers? Perhaps it's that you're trying to create value so you can create that greater impact. And honestly, it may be that each engagement, maybe you're not quite finding the right way to use those gifts and superpowers. Now, I found that there's a couple of reasons that happens, and that's why we invite you to follow the channel. Go ahead and subscribe and like and follow all that sort of stuff. Go check us out at thegivermethod.com. Find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, those places. Because we like to share ways and the things that we see that get in the way and ways that you can work past those. So today, diving into this idea of giving your gifts and superpowers to others, you have to do so without asking for anything in return. Now, oftentimes we struggle with that, especially as we're developing ourselves. And one of the reasons why that is because even though we're in a growth mindset, we're trying to create something new for ourselves, we're trying to become something new, we still get stuck in some of our programming that we already have. We have some fixed mindset, even though we may be thinking big picture or we may be thinking growth-minded, we still have things in us that kind of hold us back. And one of the things that gets in the way of being able to just give without asking for anything in return is something that you may not be thinking of, and it's validation. Now, looking for validation is not a bad thing. I mean, many times people are looking for that because we are struggling with confidence. We talk a lot on the channel about how fear can get in the way. We talk about how there's obstacles. So you can check out other videos we have on those topics if they're helpful to you. But confidence, we're trying to do something new. We're trying to develop ourselves, and there's a confidence thing. So as we're giving, sometimes we're looking for something in return. We're looking to be validated that what I'm giving you has value. But in reality, we have to do that without expectations. When you do that, that's when you truly will develop yourself as you then reflect on the week. And so we talk a lot about daily and weekly reflections, have videos on those. We got some worksheets and part of other videos that you can check out that help with daily journaling and weekly reflections on how I gave my superpower, how I gave my gift to other people. What was the thing I did well? How did I, improve myself? One of those things being like, how am I doing it without expecting anything in return? And so rather than looking for validation, we can be looking at a reflection and saying, okay, what did I give without asking? Is there anything else I could have been doing as a part of that? So I talk a lot in my book and a lot of the membership and courses that we work on that you're going to need to do those types of reflections. So I want to dive a little bit more into this idea of what it looks like to give without expecting anything in return. And one of those areas where that validation may start to show up versus what it can look like or sound like when you are giving without asking. And that way, when you're doing weekly reflections, daily journaling, maybe you could look for, did I think these things? Did I say these things? And see how that makes an impact. Before we continue, my name's Jake. I am the founder and chief giver at The Giver Method, where we are working to help people to unleash their gifts and superpowers so that they can make that greater impact on the world by giving them to the right people, delivering value without asking for anything in return. Each engagement they have is effective and eager so that they can get the outcomes of those relationship riches, those returns that people want. They're inviting the universe to pay them back. So feel free to join us along this journey. So we're going to focus on giving because others need it, not because you're hopeful for a return. Okay? There's so much joy that can be found in that type of giving. And we're not talking about like gifts, physical gifts. Like, sure, if you want to give physical gifts, you can, but it's more than that. It's giving those things that you have, those skills, talents, superpowers that you have that are going to impact their lives. I promise you that when you do it, you're going to experience some levels of joy that you may not expect. You're going to see how it has an impact and changes you. You're going to see how it has an impact and changes those relationships. So I want to dive into what gets in the way, like what it could look like when you think you're giving, but you're giving without receiving, but not necessarily giving without expecting. That's probably a great way of wording it. That you're giving without receiving. That's looking in many cases for that validation. So tell me if these types of phrases have ever crept into your mind? Now, I refer to it a lot. I heard this term. I love this term. It's called invisible invoicing. Invisible invoicing. So how is it that potentially you are invoicing others in your head without realizing it when you're giving your gifts to them? You know, have you thought things like, well, what's in this for me? Rather than, Joe Polish has an amazing book called What's in It for Them. It talks a lot about this topic. Like, I did that, so someone else has to do it next. Well, why? Why couldn't you do it next? Or why couldn't you up-level that person to be able to do it themselves? Why does it have to be someone else? You're looking for some sort of a reward. You're looking for some sort of a acknowledgement of appreciation. Gosh, when you're a giver and you're giving people of your gifts and superpowers, do not be surprised if you don't get appreciation sometimes, just because people don't always think of it from that mentality. They're not thinking of gratitude in that way. If you're trying to keep score, I've heard some funny stories from friends and family where there's keeping score of, we did this, now you got to do that, and you know, it never works out well. It never works out who helped last or who paid last or who gave the most. Like, don't keep score. Reminding others of what you've done. Like, hey, don't forget about that time I did this for you. Have you ever heard yourself or caught yourself saying something like that? Or hopefully not making people feel guilty because they're not doing as much as you are. These are all areas of that, you know, tied to that term of invisible invoicing, which is, like I said, an amazing term. And I know these are things that creep into a lot of people's minds without even realizing it. We're not meaning to be like that, but it happens without us realizing it. So let's talk about what it can sound like or feel like when you are giving without expecting anything in return. Not just giving without receiving, but you truly are giving without expecting. You're probably going to say things like, or think things like the following, okay? And I've got some lists, so I may look off to the side. I apologize if I'm looking off the side, because I want to make sure I hit on my list. Giving without expecting anything in return. Things like, you let someone vent, and you're not trying to fix things. You're not trying to improve them. You just let them vent. Let them vent. I mean, it's that funny video of the husband and the wife, and you know, she has a nail in her forehead, and you know, she's like, I just have this pain. He's like, yeah, it's that, probably that nail in your head. And she's like, stop trying to fix it. And you know, he's like, what? And she gets so mad at him trying to fix the nail that's literally sticking out of her head. And eventually he turns, he's like, okay, well, then I'll just listen. She's like, thank you. And I've got this pain and it hurts and I've got this swelling. Oh my gosh, the throbbing. And she's all describing because she has a nail sticking out of her head. And then the husband goes, that sounds like it was hard. And she goes, it was. There's that, letting people vent. I love that video. It's so hilarious because she has a nail out of her head. But letting people vent without having to fix things. If you share your gifts with someone simply because you care, because you love them, that's an amazing thing of being able to do that. Being forgiving of people. Did I forgive someone? That's a gift that, gosh, a lot of us could do better at giving. When you stop and help someone, even though you might be in a hurry, hold the door for the person. You're checking out at the store, acknowledge the person checking you out. Talk to them. Ask them about their day. Ask them how things are going in their life. It's amazing how much people can light up when they're just talking to others. Listen to someone's opinion. Gosh, we're in a totally polarized environment right now with elections and such, that if you could just listen to other people's opinions and not think that you need to change their mind, that you don't need to, you're not listening so that you can fight back. Those are all things that can get in the way. Let's see. You've got things like tell someone how well they're doing at things, how beautiful they look, how, you know, things like that. These are small little things that you can practice, but I want you to think about the principles, the core of them, which is I'm doing this simply because I care, because I want you to be better. I want you to improve. I get no value off of making these videos, but knowing that I can make an impact on many people's lives with it, and hopefully see them develop these gifts and superpowers and become the person that they're wanting to be, gosh, that to me lights me up. It gets me excited. And I look for the ways that I can do more and help when it comes to that, and helping people develop and become the person that they want to become. So think about what the core of those things are, and then think about that with your gifts and superpowers. If I hear people talk about things like gifts of being able to, like they've got time management and, event organization and planning. Well, great. Then how can I help someone else out without expecting? Is there someone who's having a party, an event, a thing that you could help them out with? If you help people, if your superpower is helping people see the potential in them that they don't see, well, how can you do that in a way that they don't feel like you're trying to unpack them? They don't feel like you're trying to fix them, but they feel empowered and they see the future that they could have, and they are excited to go down that path. And that could look like so many different ways for you. I just want you to be thinking about simple things like the ways we can give without expecting. Just being polite, being kind, giving without asking for anything else. Asking people if they need anything, even though you may be in a hurry. Showing love and compassion. Gosh, these are just some simple areas. I've talked a lot in the past that there are different skills and talents you can develop that are going to help you with this. So things you could develop that help you to give without expecting anything in return. And so I'm just going to cover some of those. I've got a small little list of them. Number one is empathy. If you practice empathy and emotional connection there, how much of that's going to then help? Resilience, of course, being able to continue on. And this is, oh my gosh, resilience in so many ways, helping you be immune to the stuff that's happening around you so you can keep giving. Authenticity. Be authentic. Be true to who you are. A lot of times we'll put on a face that we think is what we want to be. We'll put on the character that we think needs to show up. Well, unless that character is going to be helping you in delivering that gift or superpower, you want to look for those ways to be more authentic without looking for anything in return. You have to practice patience, of course, like being in a hurry and being able to help others, or being able to give your gifts and superpowers and not seeing a change in that person right away. That, got to be patient. You have to have practice positivity, super big, that you're always focused on being positive, that you have courage to continue to take action, to impact those around you that maybe aren't expecting it from you. And then, of course, you have to show gratitude and forgiveness. If you could practice those areas, empathy and resilience and gratitude, if you could practice those, it's going to help you so much more in becoming a giver who can give gifts and superpowers, can deliver value, and not ask for those things in return. Hopefully this was helpful to you. If so, go ahead and make sure you've subscribed. Share this with someone who maybe needs to see it. Check us out, thegivermethod.com. Check us out on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those places. We'd love to hear what your thoughts or takeaways were. So go ahead and do so in the comments. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you soon.